You can relive that 10-month stretch, all four majors, 4 in a row. Golf Films Tiger Slam. It will be Sunday, May 24th, 8 Eastern Time. Matt, let me start with you. With respect to Butch, he talked about that first impression. You spoke to him on Friday. What did he elaborate on in terms of what he saw that was different?
Well, it was kind of cute in the communication because, Gary, you just gave us a promo that's the 24th at 8 p.m. And the first thing that Butch wanted to know was, when is the special going to air? And, of course, I told him when it was going to air. And he said, oh, good, I'll record it. So it's important for us all to remember that this is a big part of the life of Butch Harmon as well as it is for Tiger Woods. What he saw in those early days was that unique and rare quality of a champion, something that's within. It can't be taught, noting that, you know, the great ones thrive on pressure, as you just noted in that feature, the lack of fear. He said that during an incredible run, which I think probably was at its pinnacle at the 2000 U.S. Open, that Tiger was in total control of everything. He was doing that without being consumed by the moment. And then he said that the most impressive thing was his focus. He defined 2000 as a direct quote, the greatest year I've ever seen in golf, end quote. And where all this comes together for me is the fact that I think Tiger needed a team around him that could handle the heat. And as noted, Butch was in Vietnam. Butch is a Marine. He once stepped on a landmine that didn't detonate. He could handle the heat.
You know, John, it's interesting that the relationship was already established when you started spending a fair amount of time with him in the late 90s. Why was Butch right for him in your mind?
Well, guys, I think with Tiger and being that young prodigy, you can only go so far with your great local golf professionals and Rudy Duran and Trevor Baker, and you need to get to that next level. And when you have that raw talent, and you meet up with a Butch Harmon, like Tiger did at Champions in the '93 U.S. Amateur, you want to go to that next level. And like Butch said, he was a tour player, albeit a nice tour player. We won't give him a great career, but he did play the tour, so he understood. So he had the pedigree, he had this knowledge of the golf swing. He had been teaching for quite a while, so he had that part. But what I think was good for Tiger is Butch could get him to the first tee without thinking a lot of mechanics. And when you're going to that next level, you have to be able to, when you're on the golf course, be able to right the ship when your mechanics break down, when your brain and your body totally disconnect. Butch had that. And like Butch said, Tiger was a sponge. He wanted it all. He didn't want pieces. He wanted it all. So when they went to work in '99 about changing that golf swing, making it more efficient, making it less reliant on timing and getting your body timed up right, because you're going to be different every day. You want those great mechanics. And when Tiger got those great mechanics going, that's when he took off in that stratosphere. He just kept learning. He was a sponge.
Jaime, would he have achieved as much if Butch wasn't the voice in the ear?
You know, it's so hard to say. Jack Nicklaus stayed with Jack Grout his whole life. John Anselmo was a great teacher. He himself had played a little bit on the tour. Nothing against Butch, but John had really helped Tiger from the age of 10. And unfortunately, got sick with prostate cancer. And that was a moment where Earl decided, Tiger's always admired Greg. Let's go talk to Butch. But I think the timing was wonderful for both men because, Tiger was so ready, so hungry to just go to the next level. He wanted to hear every story that Butch had. Butch had so much background from his dad and from Hogan and Snead and every great player ever. And Tiger just wanted to drink all that up. And Butch is a great storyteller. And, the timing was great because Tiger was at that age where he really wanted to listen. He did not, in any way get, tired of those stories. Quite the opposite. And by the same token, here was Butch going, I've got the greatest raw talent maybe in history, and I can put everything that I've got to use right now. So that was beautiful. I think there was a lot of refinement. Butch was really good at demonstrating shots. Tiger really wanted to learn a lot of wedge shots, little things that, nuanced pro game shots. needed better distance control. Butch identified all that with a really sophisticated eye for what a player needs. And I just feel like, they had a very, very fruitful 6 years. And Tiger actually, in his mind at least, outgrew Butch's knowledge too. So he was moving on the whole time, whether it was John Anselmo, whether it was Butch. And so I think, destiny really was in Tiger's corner at that time, where he got the right teacher at the right time.
Jaime, you brought up Butch's dad, Claude, and I think that's part of this, because you also mentioned Hogan. The fact that Butch's father was a major champion, was also an accomplished instructor himself, and Tiger's awareness intellectually to the historical side of things, knowing the pedigree of the player, he expected not only the best of himself, he needed to be, I think, in his mind, around the very best. There was a connection with Greg Norman and Tiger. They played some practice rounds in those amateur years when he was playing in the Masters. And of course, Butch was working with Greg, who was a dominant number one. I think Claude, I think Butch, and I also think tough love. It's something that he was accustomed to getting from his father. And Butch never has been, never will be a wallflower. I think that he could take that, John, and I think that, you were around him a great deal. He could needle others, and I think that he liked the fact that there was a competitive bent to Butch in terms of giving it right back to him.
No doubt about it. They were good at that, and Tiger could take it. He could dish it out. Butch was the exact same way. So it was a great relationship while it lasted, and Tiger learned a lot. He kept going in phases, like you said. He started to learn a lot about distance control, trajectory control, spin control, taking a little bit off, foot off the gas a little bit. Without Butch, I'm not sure. We tried to help him with all that, and of course, he got to talk to Butch a little bit more often. So it was a great relationship, no doubt.
It was. I mentioned Greg Norman. I mean, he was a great thoroughbred, but when he got Tiger in his stable, that was like getting secretariat. And by virtue of that, there were a lot of great players that followed under the eye of Butch Harmon. It was a fascinating time